Right, howdy ho, people. Apologies if it's a little bit glitchy. Should be all right now. Unfortunately, in the whole country, building work, every road, every street. So yeah, it's the same down here. Should be all right. Usually, when we get over the first hump, it's not too bad. But right, howdy ho, everyone. This is the Hotspur Hood Tonight show, as it is every Tuesday night, not the 9 o'clock news. Another Spurs win, another 2-0 victory, London derby. We have Sheffield United tomorrow evening. Huge FA Cup game, especially looking at the teams left. And the fact that we haven't won the FA Cup for 30 years is huge, absolutely huge. And we've got a star panel, as always, to go through everything tonight. Before we do, the channel relies on the likes, the thumbs up. So make sure you do if you haven't already. It really does make a difference. And subscribe and hit that notification bell. It all really helps the channel grow. We're going to get everyone plugged here at the end. As you can see, the Twitter handles are here. Brad, Chris, Gareth, Jacob. Follow them on Twitter. You can find their YouTube channels, but we'll of course plug them at the end as well. But before we do get going, I just want to mention Stephen Featley, the death of Stephen Featley. You know, I'm not sure you at home know him, but some of you will, the regulars. Been on my shows a lot. I've been on his shows. You know, Chris, Brad, we all know him to a certain degree. And he lost his, he passed away. So I just want to mention I'm going to be doing a 12-hour charity stream. Donate to the liver disease foundation, because that's he had 6 liver transplants. Great streamer, great lad, only 27 years old, and it'll be combined with the Turkish earthquakes as well. So we'll do a 12-hour charity stream. So make sure you put that in your diary. It's probably a few weeks' time. So yeah, rest in peace, Stephen. You know, everybody here will join me with that, I'm sure. And Arsenal, otherwise, to think that they could win the league as well is absolutely crazy. I'm sure we'll be cheering from up there. Okay, so let's get to the Spurs stuff. First and foremost, 2-0 Chelsea victory, another derby. I want to quickly put the starting lineup up. It's always good to have a look at the starting lineup. Going into it, Brad, were you happy that we went unchanged from West Ham? I
thought I might have played Son because I wasn't impressed with Richarlison against West Ham, but it didn't surprise me. Not change a winning team and that. What didn't surprise me was the fact that we won the game quite comfortably. Really, it was just a really workmanlike, professional performance. And it seems to me that we're starting to play to a certain style now, a certain way, where we start off slowly and get quicker and quicker and quicker. And
it's a bit like me making love, mate.
It's been such a long time.
I thought he was quiet. I thought Brad had half a minute there. Like, what?
I want to see where he was going with it, or if anyone else jumped in.
But right, Chris, captain. With hindsight, we won the game, but before we started, obviously you stream a lot yourself. When you saw the lineup, you was at the game. In fact, were you happy that Son wasn't starting and maybe Perisic should have been in for Ben Davis? Was you disappointed with any of those decisions?
You don't change a winning team, do you? I guess. I mean, your image there, Longlay's turned into prime John Cena. I can't see it.
Yeah, he do that.
Yeah, he looks like a pea, doesn't he?
I think Richarlison starting was a good move. You've got to have an element in your teams. If you're not playing well, you're not in a team. If you're training well, if you're playing well, you've got to have your chance. And I like the fact that he played against West Ham. Yeah, didn't play wonderfully, but been given another chance. And Son has been pretty poor most of the season. And I like the fact that Son came on for Kulu as well, and not Richarlison, allowing Richarlison to, it would have been easy to bring Son on for him. But yeah, in terms of Skip, I said on my show, like, one man's injury is another man's opportunity, and he's taking that at the moment. And then he scored the goal as well to take his opportunity even further. Emerson, is, I'm sure we'll come on to him. I don't really know what's happened to him, but long may that continue. But yeah, don't change a winning team. And I mean, it wasn't really a game, was it? West Ham or Chelsea? It was more like a training match. Both of them weren't really at it. So, but yeah, apart from Richarlison in for Son, I wasn't really too surprised with the starting lineup.
Skip's another good mention, because obviously Sarr and Skip started against AC Milan. We only lost 1-0. They played very well. A lot of people were gunning for Skip to start against West Ham. I mean, was that a decision you were stewing over, Jacob, when you was looking at the, you was looking at the lineup? Maybe we could start Sarr against Chelsea, or as I've already said, Ben Davies, get him out, put Perisic on. Anything you was I don't know, maybe disappointed with?
No. On one of my streams, I was calling for exactly that lineup because I knew that when you play against Chelsea, even though they're having a bit of a bad time at the minute, we needed a whole 11 to dig in. Now, I was happy with the fullbacks against West Ham, more so with the tactics that Stellini put out, because he keeps saying that it's Conte, but it's not, because we look a bit more freer. And I'm not sure whether it's Conte's presence or Conte's tactics. I'm not sure. But I think in these games, you needed a Richarlison because you need someone that's going to wind the players up.
South American fire.
We all hated him when he played for Everton, but when he plays for us, it's nice. When he's diving around and he's squaring up to people, he's a bit like Diego Costa, where you'd hate Diego Costa, but if he's at your team, you'd love him. So,
Emerson's getting in on the shithousery as well, though.
He loves it,
Royal against Chelsea, fucking superb.
With Richarlison, that whole red card thing all came from just him getting up and just causing a fight from no real reason. And then the Chelsea bloke has bought it, and then the referee's made a shocker. But yeah, I love that from Richarlison. But like you, Jacob, hated him at Everton.
Yeah, we all hated him. It's what he wants. That's what you need. It's like in a London derby, it's like everybody probably starts the game very focused, but then a Richarlison will throw you off your focus, and it'll get to the point rather than trying to focus on, imagine if you're Reece James, you're thinking about, right, I'm right back, I've got to make sure.
So there you go.
All of a sudden you lose your head, don't you? Do you know what I mean? You're playing against Richarlison. I know I would if he.
Someone called Gareth put in the chat. Someone called Gareth put in the chat. Chris stringing for his bedroom show. It's just
yeah. Well, lots of my frigging guitar cases and stuff.
He's advertising the magic show. Let me show you how I make it disappear.
The two chaps next to me have both got YouTube channels outside of football as well. So Brad in his guitar, and of course Chris in his magic. So Gareth, I mean, I still want to talk about Sarr and Skip.
Yeah.
Because okay, fair enough. Chelsea, you go with an unchanged team, but after the AC Milan game, many would say that Sarr stood out over Skip. So into the West Ham game, do you feel that was the correct decision, or were you surprised that we went with Skip and not Sarr?
I don't. I'm kind of in two camps. Very firstly, Jake.
You at the San Siro because you're everywhere, man.
No,
you're at the San Siro.
Valentine's Day in Italy without the missus wasn't going down well. So I ended up staying. But just Jacob, just to go to your point about Conte, I've said this a couple of times. It's almost like Conte adds an extra pressure just by his presence being on the sideline. Like they're scared to make a mistake because they know the repercussion. Whereas Stellini's probably a bit more Pochettino-like. He's the one that gets on with the players better and, more arm around the shoulder. It's all right, boys, we'll do it. But going back to the Sarr and Skippy point, I even commented about you, Tommy. I bet on Sunday night, mate, you were giving it the missus large from behind, shouting, "Say Skippy, weren't you? Without how you love him, mate.
You know I'm a Skippy boy. You know I'm a Skippy boy.
I know you are. But I'm kind of in two camps, like I said at the start. Sarr had a good game against Milan, but was that because it was against Milan? He's not had much time in the Premier League to play proper minutes. Whereas prior to the injury, Skip, as you're well aware, with how much you're cupping the balls and supping down the gravy, mate, that he was a solid midfielder before his injury, and all he's needed is to get a bit back up to speed. And because of that, I probably would play Skip over Sarr at the moment.
Also, I think Skip's probably in the front of the line as well. He's been at the club all these years. He's a local boy, as a Spurs supporter, and we're playing two.
But so was Harry Winks, mate, and we was happy to drop him. I can't.
Yeah, but Skip and Sarr against Milan were brilliant, both brilliant, and Sarr arguably had a better game. But they're both, I think,
But also as well, it's the type of player that they are. You got to think about it. Højbjerg isn't going to go unless he's injured. So it's who do you play against Højbjerg, and Skip and Højbjerg. They've proven over the last 2 games.
I remember Steve Perriman when he first came into the squad and into the team, and Skip really reminds me of Steve Perriman. Really does. I think he's miles above. If you go back for our other midfielders like Harry Winks, Ryan Mason, Tom Carroll,
Bentancur,
he's miles above them, miles and miles above them.
I think because he's a local boy as well and come through the youth.
I agree with Nobby Clark. It makes no difference whatsoever. Apart from Skip, who is showing potential, right? Apart from Kane, we've produced nobody out of that academy. Everybody who has come out through that academy, they've had a chance. And they've been happily dropped because they haven't been good enough. Skip is there on merit. Skip is there because he is good enough to be sat in that middle of the park. He's got an old head on a young shoulders. He plays the game really well. And Sof, in response to your comment, top managers are intense and our players are a little bit soft. You look at the managers we've had over the past, the best response we got. But at the same time, management, everybody's different and everybody will react differently.
Football's changed now, though, I think. Gone are the days where Ferguson can chuck a boot around in the hairdryer. Players now are pampered divas. You can't go screaming and shouting at these because they're so used to getting their own way. I listened to Peter Crouch's podcast, and he was saying when he went away with England and they said, have you got your boots and everything? Half the players were like, we have to bring our own boots because it's
although Sof, in answer to what Sof's just said, he said even Arteta yells and waves his arms, but Arteta's not intimidating. Let's be honest, Arteta looks like he's having a fit.
There's also a world of difference between what a manager says and shouts on the touchline to what they'd shout in the dressing room and at training. Alex Ferguson used to go absolutely mad on the side of the pitch, but he never ever criticised his players in the media. But I bet he criticised his players. Chris,
do you think Ferguson would struggle now? Do you think Ferguson would struggle nowadays? Do you feel like he would maybe adapt because you'd probably have to adapt?
Absolutely. I think Ferguson, if he stayed as Ferguson like he was in the 90s, would struggle. But he adapted so much he knew exactly what all the players needed. There's a story where, in the canteen and everything, they were told to wear, dressed in suits and everything like that. Ryan Giggs went up to him and went, what's all this about? Cantona's coming in a tracksuit. And Ferguson says, well, when you win as many games 1-0 as he does, you can wear what you want. And he knew that Cantona needed to have that kind of license to do what he wanted. And that's why he ended up getting the performances from him. So I think he'd adapt completely. And he's the best manager I'll ever see in my lifetime by quite a margin, I would say, Ferguson.
The fact that he won titles when he sold his best players like Ronaldo, he put
he built about 7 teams.
He put Anderson in there, and he still won the titles.
He built about 7 teams, and we're talking about we still need the rebuild. He orchestrated about 7 rebuilds, and we're never outside the top 3.
He wasn't afraid to get rid of someone that was on form, was he? On a good.
Absolutely, I love Alex Ferguson. I've read all of his books. I'll probably.
I hated him as a manager. The whole "come on, lads, it's Tottenham." But now I can appreciate. And he said something. I think in an interview.
We say that.
Walker, in an interview with Dan Walker, he said, "You got to have courage in your own convictions. Otherwise, how can you expect others to listen?"
The thing is, though, you don't have to like your manager as long as you respect him. And this was like with Fergie. I didn't like him, but I respected what he did as a manager. I respected.
Yeah, definitely.
What he did
he was just superb, and he made a decision. He stuck to his decision. May not have been the best decision. He says he regrets selling Yap Stam, but he still stuck to that decision. So you see all of these managers now who kind of and he was completely the opposite of that. Here's my decision. That's it. Done. Get on with it.
And he
said that with Paul Ince as well, didn't he?
Sorry, Jacob. Go on, mate.
Oh, no, I was just saying, I was just alluding to what Chris said, because I remember watching a programme about 2 weeks ago on Paul Ince, and Paul Ince was like, he had the season of his life. He was pretty much United captain, and Fergie's like, yeah, you got a minute? And he's like, no, I'm playing golf. And he's like, no, I need to speak to you now. And then literally Paul Ince drove up an hour later and said, look, Inter Milan are coming for you. I don't need you. And he literally had the season of his life. Do you know what I mean? Paul Ince was a top player.
Wasn't that when he was walking through and giving it to the boot boys? I'm the governor, and he was like, "I'm the only governor here, son."
Probably, yeah. That's what Fergie was about. And I think of the players that Fergie's got rid of, mate.
You think, what the fuck is he doing? Like every 2 or 3 seasons, he lets go of his main man. Even Roy Keane. You think, wow, he's the
Beckham.
He's the heart of that team.
Yeah, but to be fair, though, you look at it though. If he was guaranteed, if he had something agreed with United while he was there, that everything he made on players he sold, he could reinvest, right? And he had his eye on 2 or 3 players, right, who he knew were going to be good, and he knew he could get them plus change for what it would cost to sell Ronaldo or what it would cost to sell Keane or Beckham. Then for the good, and that's the thing about it. Fergie for me, I think is he did look long term. He was like they're at their peak, but we've got a few titles out of them. I can get 3 players in where I need to do this, this, and this, and so it's what's
management. He was the best.
Yeah. I mean, what I loved about him in terms of transfers is 2 things that I wish we did. He got all of his business done early before pre-season started. All of his transfer business was done, and he always made at least a couple of signings in transfers a season. Not necessarily you're replacing this person in the first 11, but it keeps people on their toes, keeps it fresh.
And he would clearly have him around
every season.
And clearly he'd have him around the training ground for the first year or so, get him into the function of the formation. Then the second year, third year, they'd almost come alive.
Yeah, I mean, in football terms, he's a genius. He was a genius.
Absolutely. And I'll tell you what, he fucking hated Daniel Levy as well. So he gets my backing. He gets my backing every time. Right, let's get back to Chelsea. Was it as comfortable as the scoreline suggests, Jacob? Now, we didn't score to the 46th minute again. Another second half goal. Scored a lot of draws in the first half and then bang one in the second half. Do you see it as the same as those games in the past where we sort of struggled, or was it comfortable from the off?
Yeah, it mirrored the West Ham game, because at West Ham, when we played West Ham, I wasn't really too worried. They had a couple of chances, like Jared Bowen had one like early doors, and it's pretty much the same in Chelsea. You know, Sterling had a chance early doors. I think it was João Felix was finding space, but even though Chelsea had a lot of the ball, I just thought to myself, you're not really doing anything. I didn't really see any of the forwards making runs. Just like us, I didn't have a number 10. They had a lot of talent on the pitch, but they didn't really have somebody that I worried about feeding. And the one player that I was worried about scoring a goal was the one that was playing in midfield, which was João Felix. So I think Graham Potter got it wrong first half. I think with what we did, I think we just thought, let's just see how it goes. And then, second half, as soon as Ollie Skip scored that goal, I just remember thinking, well, I don't really see Chelsea doing anything, because when the commentators kept reading out the stats of like they've scored 1 goal all month, I think they're the lowest goal scorers in all top 4 divisions. I was like, it's mad, but I was just laughing to myself. And then, once it went 2-0 up, I was just like, we ain't losing this. If anything, it's going to go a bit further. So, the only time I was worried was before the game, because when I looked at the lineups and I saw all the players they got, I thought all it takes is for them not to gel, and it was cool. But then I think as soon as Thiago Silva went off, I thought I would be all right now.
I don't think
even Thiago Silva going
always plays well against us. Thiago Silva, always fantastic.
I don't.
He should have got sent off. You know what I mean?
He's the perfect calling for Daniel Levy to start signing more experienced players. Thiago Silva didn't come in till he was 35. Casemiro 31. Look at Casemiro, the Carabao Cup final.
Oh, mate, unbelievable.
Mate? We bought somebody in with a bit of age, but he's just not been good enough.
That's Conte. He doesn't play on the pitch, does he? That's the age.
Luis Zaha.
What is it?
I don't think Chelsea players are playing for him, because he's a manager who wants to coach players. They go and buy players who are ready-made, probably set in their ways a little bit and want to be coached. The fact that they spent 600 million that he didn't want, but
how can you become consistent if you keep tinkering with formations, if you keep tinkering with players and swapping people?
That's what I think. He's bought more players than we're going to have fans at the Beyonce gigs. And I don't think he wanted half of those. So, and then they're not winning. So then he's tinkering with stuff to try and get a winning formation. But the problem is obvious. £600 million they spent, and not one striker, and they can't score goals. It's obvious. You can, but I'm not sure they are playing for him, because that first goal, ignore our side of it, but it was a fairly poor save. Then the Fernandes took it off of the goalkeeper. Poor clearance. Skip wanted it more.
Koulibaly
and then the
goalie for that.
Yeah,
If
and then the goalies flapped at it. It's just a comedy of errors from there. Not that I care.
If Koulibaly had stood up tall rather than ducking under the ball like he normally does, I've noticed with him, Koulibaly ducks quite a lot when the ball's coming.
And he's massive as well, which is crazy.
If he just stood up tall, he'd have stopped that. If he'd just taken one in the face, all right, if he'd done a Katie Price, taken one in the face, happy fucking face, right? That goal would never have gone in. People have ended a ball draw.
Right, everyone. Like, I wasn't at the game. Jacob, were you at the game? I know these three boys always go to the game.
No, I wasn't. I wasn't up there. No.
I want to talk about the atmosphere. I felt like watching, and from the people I was talking to, it was a bit dead at West Ham. We come alive at the end after the full-time whistle went, and we won 2-0. What was it this time, Brad? It seemed a lot different against Chelsea.
Yeah,
it seemed like pumping.
A much better atmosphere than West Ham. West Ham was, the first half was dead at West Ham, really was, and it came alive when we scored the goal. But no, it was from the start. It was a much better atmosphere.
I think there was a lot of consciousness about the fans, because a lot had been made with the Tottenham post that had been put out with Levy King and the LGBT group. They brought them on the guy on at half time, with Levy King, and then the girl from who's the lead of the LGBT group. I think there was a lot of consciousness, which kind of took a little bit off took a bit of the edge away from just letting yourself completely immerse yourself in the game and the fact that we weren't doing bad and ended up having a good result against Chelsea. I know there's conflict on that specific term, and some people don't see it as what it's now classed as. Other people do, and yes, sadly, I think there was definitely a consciousness. That just helped keep things on a simmer.
Right, I'm gonna bring this up again because I want to talk about individual player performances and who everyone thinks fared the best. I don't know, man of the match for you, Jacob. I think a few people give it to Skip. I think the goal's got a lot to do with that. Who would you give a man of the match to? And is there anyone you was sort of surprised to be impressed with? Because his name popped up in the chat, and Forster. I felt like Forster done all right.
Yeah. You know what? I was going to say
just a quick one. Leicester are out.
Yeah, I was just about to say the same thing.
Yeah, Leicester are out.
They just got knocked out by Blackburn.
Yeah, 2-1.
Oh, it's in our hands. It's in our hands. We're going to talk about it. We're going to get to the Sheffield United game at the end, but it's certainly Grimsby is still in it. I think. I don't know, but
Bristol City are only 1-0 down. They're giving a good account of themselves.
Crazy.
We'll talk about it
anyone you? I want to talk about who's you impressed with, Jacob? And was there anyone you wasn't so impressed with?
Yeah, so I'll go with impressed. Fraser Forster was one of them, but I'd go with Romero because he was doing what Romero does, but keeping his temperament and timing his tackle. Now, I listened to Ledley King, I think it was on TalkSport before the game. No, a couple of days before the game, and they were talking about Romero, and he was saying that the whole camp has had a word with him. Just keep that aggression, keep that temperament, just time your tackles, don't slide. Try and get yourself in position. And I remember thinking, if this guy could listen, he'd be one of the best defenders in the league. And then literally, he did exactly what was said on the tin against Chelsea. So I was impressed with him. Yeah. There's a lot of times where, the Chelsea players were squaring up to him, winding him up, and he was just laughing at them. There was times where he was even getting Emerson Royal out of the heat. So I thought, if you continue that, then we'll get the Romero that first came in. One person I wasn't
on Chris's channel last night, and when I was watching him, he was great off the ball, but didn't you see him lose the ball plenty? Or when he was on the ball,
he lost it once.
A couple of times, yeah. One thing I thought caught me off guard was when he I don't know whether he did it on purpose or not. I've still been thinking about it today. When he nutsed Kai Havertz on the corner flag. I was just like, if you did that on purpose, you've lost the plot, mate. Like you literally must be stoned on the pitch because I don't understand why you weren't just doing that.
Did he? Havertz didn't have the greatest game.
Another crazy moment where we
broke.
Playing, was he? We broke, and he was the one leading the break. He was the most furthest forward out there when we broke.
Oh, he's wild. I was on a stream the other day, and someone come out with a good point. They were like, Christian Romero is one of them people that if his missus sends him shopping, and he's got to go and get watermelons, and then there's an old frail woman that's about to pick up the last watermelon, he'll elbow her in the head to get it. Do you know what I mean? Like, that's why.
He'll go two-footed. Oh, sorry, I didn't see the wet floor sign.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, that's it, man. Everyone's getting cleared out, mate.
Well, I mean, I think about Romero. It's one of these players that you can't take away his aggression because he wouldn't be the same player. It's just about fine tuning him.
Yeah, but you know what? There were
what you're saying, Jacob, about the timing of the tackles and when to do the tackles and when to do it. And I think they're working on that. And he hasn't been booked in the last 2 games because he's an absolutely brilliant defender when he's on his game.
This is it, yeah.
Nuno just
you don't think, Gareth? You don't think we're going a little bit overboard? West Ham were 18th, Chelsea 10th.
No, I don't, because of the way Spurs have been playing. There's every chance we could have got done.
If it had been lucky wins, Tommy,
look at how we were with Leicester. Everyone thought,
what Gareth was saying, if we'd have beaten them luckily, a lucky win it. Yeah, a lucky win.
They've been. Man City was a convincing win.
Yeah,
we should have gone on and beat Leicester. We didn't turn up. West Ham was a convincing win. Chelsea was a convincing win. It's like Scotty M. He's put man of the match Romero by default, but nobody really stood out as being good. I don't know if Scotty, you must have watched it on the telly, but I tell you what, Skip ran his bollocks off across that pitch. Even up to the 89th minute, he was still running top speed and putting in tackles. Right, the boy didn't let up. He was by far and wide the best player on that pitch, in my personal opinion. But that's because I was able to sit there in the stadium and watch him. But Romero and Emerson, they played really well as well. The way they bounced off each other, they've got a nice little symmetry going on at the moment on the right side. But yeah, Skip, mate, if you'd have watched the game live, you'd have seen just how much Skip he had put into that match, and that he left it all out on the pitch, and the goal was nothing more than he deserved for the effort that he put in.
I was watching on Twitter. I was watching a video clip of the Holland under-21s dressing room, and they were talking about, and the manager was talking about, it's impossible to get the ball Skip. He does this sideways thing, and he puts his foot in the way, and is able to just play the right pass at the right time. And they mentioned Frankie De Jong, who for me is the best deep creative midfielder there is. Now I'm not saying he's a creative midfielder.
Scotty, go watch it at the stadium, mate. Don't rely on
that. Determines a creative midfielder, deep one like Frankie De Jong is one that can ping a pass around 30 yards. But the guy's so young, I think he's got a bit of everything where he can adapt to any centre midfield position. I've seen a bit of everything in him. I think it's good to have a main role that you're going to be comfortable with, but we don't know what that is. We don't know what that is yet. He looks adaptable to me, Skip. He's got a bit of everything. And take away the goal. He still was absolutely on the TV. I would have given him man of the match too.
He was phenomenal. Do you know what? He hustled. He hassled people. He put in good tackles. You know, you look at the stats of the passes, the duels. You know, everything he did for me against Chelsea was superb, and it's something you would have expected from Casemiro. You know, someone of that ilk with the age, the quality, the experience. Skippy was fantastic.
What I loved about him was you mentioned there, Gareth, flying in with tackles. He made about 6 last-ditch sliding tackles at full speed. Yeah. But in the day and age where you time that slightly wrong, it's a red card, yellow card, there was never any kind of, it was a clean tackle. And that says to me, he looks out of control, but he's perfectly in control of what he's doing.
His studs were firmly on the floor.
Yeah, and perfectly in control of what he was doing. Won the ball cleanly.
The head he's got on him. The head he's got on him is, you know.
I'm with you, Gareth. He was man of the match by a mile for me, even if you take away his goal. Emerson was superb. I've just seen the banner there. But I agree with SOF in the chat as well. Forster, that one where they played it intricately and it went through and then he came out quickly. There was no pissing about there. There's no messing about. No messing about. Completely under control. Gets the ball up, goes to a Spurs player, and then we carry on.
Soft makes another good point really. That's what cost us at Leicester.
Yeah, and really not commanding presence, but a calming presence. And I think with Lloris was making himself nervous and the defence nervous, and the defence were making themselves nervous and Lloris nervous. At least now it looks like with Forster, there's one of them is out. We've still got Dyer in there.
Foster's a good goal. Foster is a good goalkeeper with a good head on his shoulders. You know, I'm not Nobby Clark's comment there. Going overboard about skipping, he's more strings to his bow to go on to play for England. But we're not talking about England. We're talking about what he's doing for Tottenham. What he's doing for Tottenham is, and what he did against Chelsea. He is an improving player, but he's showing that he has got the ability to have those, to have those quality games. I don't expect him anytime in this season to get called up for England. Maybe next if he carries on. But I think that's a bit of a redundant point. I'll be sorry.
His first game against Man City, was it last year or the year before? He had a fairly terrible first 10, 15 minutes, could have given away a couple of penalties. Never shied away from winning the ball, never shied from a tackle.
Absolutely.
See, I don't want to, pick on Harry Winks, but there were times with Harry Winks where he shied away. He got the ball, Carabao Cup final, got the ball 10 yards around him, goes backwards to Dyer, and Skip never does that. From what I've seen anyway.
I don't want
never
to pick
shies
on
away from
anything.
I'm going to get Perchy in a second. But I just want to say we're 30 minutes in. We've got 26 people watching. I think we've only got like 18 likes. Get it up if you're watching. Please make sure you smash the like. It's completely free. And of course, subscribe if you haven't already done so. Not doing too many live shows at the moment, but doing quite a few shorts from here on in. Please hit the notification bell. You're notified when the shorts get uploaded. So please do that. And now, Perch, we're just talking about the man of the match in the game. Like, a lot of players played well. I've got to double up on what Chris said about Forster. I thought at that point, that specific event where the ball looked like it was in a dangerous position, I thought he was either going to give a penalty away or it's going to be chipped over him and go in. So I feel like Forster I thought he had a really, really good game too. But if you're going to pick man of the match, Perch, you haven't watched the game. Is anyone else?
I think. No, I think Skip's a fair shout. To be honest, I thought Chelsea were terrible. I think we need to make that point clear. I mean, honestly, they could be still playing today and not score a goal. I mean, we didn't need a goalkeeper and they wouldn't be able to score. They were that bad, and genuinely, they were terrible. Skip thought was brilliant. Got himself a goal, and listen, it's all about confidence. And at the moment when we've got issues in midfield, having players that are playing well. I mean, Sarr had a good game the other day, a few weeks ago. Sorry, Skip's now playing well. This is kind of what you need. You need to have a situation where you've got these young players now that are actually going to play well. So I think it's fair to give it to him. I thought Kane's second half was brilliant. I mean, his off the ball runs were brilliant. I think it was one of those games. It was one of those games that the first half, the way I sort of looked at it was two really poor playing teams in a sense. I think both teams are poor first half. I thought they didn't look anywhere like the shade of a Chelsea side you'd expect, especially in a derby like that. We were comfortable. We didn't really do much, but second half, I think the early goal kind of really just changed it for us, and that's really it was. They had to come at us a bit, didn't they?
I think there's a lot of talk on Skip being very good. I don't think you can even say he's very good at the moment, but I think the potential's there to be very good. The signs we're seeing, first half of last season, him and Son were probably our best players. I don't think there's even any debate that him and Son were our best players. As Chris said, the Man City game, first 15 minutes could have conceded 3 penalties. Honestly, he could have. But he grew in the game, and you can see him grow after the first 3 or 4 games in there. So he's not very good at the moment. Of course not. He's a long way off England. Absolutely. He's just come back from injury too. And he struggled a little bit when he come back. So a long way to go. But credit where credit's due. He's been fantastic the last few weeks. And without the goal, he still performed very, very well for me. Right, moving on to someone that's performing very, very well consistently over the last month or so. Emerson Royal. It was a little bit of a joke. He was a little bit of a clown that the Spurs fans were taking a piss out of for a long time, me included. Absolutely, put me up there, me included. Is it Brad? Is it simply the Porro signing for you that's giving him the kick up the arse?
What's the goal?
I just think it's taking him time to just sort of get his game going. I mean, even last season, I could see there was a player there. I think he's literally the new Sissoko, because it took us Sissoko a couple of years, and suddenly Sissoko could be a cult hero. And at the moment, if you're in the crowd, that's what Emerson basically is. But he really does he does a lot of good out there. His one problem is when he gets forward, he doesn't know what to do still. So that is lacking from his game. But he comes inside. He gives that midfield a lot more inside, so he doesn't overrun so much because he comes inside when he needs to. But no, he's just just improving. And you know, credit where credit's due. The guy, and as I say, he's always put in. He obviously loves the club. He's very, you know, and I think he's just really wanted to improve his game and really worked hard at it. So fair play.
I think it's a bit of a combination of everything, isn't it? I think it's a combination of Parrow coming in and everything coming together. But also, I'll be honest, the analogy I've used the past couple of times that I've been questioned about this one is, it reminds me of when Lloris came in and we had Friedel, and the way they pushed each other and the way that we had the best out, if in my opinion, it's the best we've ever had out of Lloris was when Friedel was.
Well, the interesting thing about, and you were there, Gareth and Chris, the interesting thing about Saturday's game or Sunday's game was when Porro made that cameo appearance. Because he did a couple of little things.
You know what?
Yeah.
I was gonna say that. There was something quite. When I saw him come on, and I saw him he came on for Kulusevski, I sat there and I was like, "That's not a bad fucking shout."
Yeah. It's got a little moments where you can see. I haven't seen him play a lot apart from obviously the Sporting Lisbon game, but you can see that. Oh, this guy actually attacking wise could really be quite effective. But the problem is, as in the Leicester game, his defending is. I mean, let's face it, against Leicester, he's up against Iniacho, who's a pretty decent player.
And he had Tandanga.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah.
But yeah, to use him as a winger rather than a wing back, I think,
got a good blender, I think.
Has potential.
And it's Stellini that called that, not Conte.
Yeah, Chris, recently, Emerson has improved. Do you think he can keep? Can you keep it going? Can he keep it going?
I think so. It's confidence, isn't he? He's obviously got the confidence. Wouldn't surprise me as well if some of his upturn in form, the celebration against West Ham, the ball under the shirt. He's obviously either had a baby or having a baby. Wouldn't surprise me if he's matured a little bit just because of that. Yeah, wouldn't surprise me if he's matured because of that, and the maturity has come up on the pitch. But Justin was on my channel a couple of after the West Ham game, and he said he thinks, and I saw it against Chelsea. He's not out wide anymore. It's almost like him and Kulu have swapped over. So he's going down the middle. No one expects it. And Kulu's out wide. And that's where his goal against West Ham came from. Him running through the middle. No one picks him up because it's a lesser spotted Emerson. That just doesn't happen. So, yeah, I think it's possibly a tweak, whether that's Conte, Stellini, Kulu, Emerson, all four combination. But he's definitely looking a lot more effective. And then obviously him going down the middle means he doesn't have to cross the ball that much, which he can't do. He can leave that to Kulu. But yeah, I mean, long may it continue. Like Brad said, he's never, ever not tried 100%, has he? So even if you don't like him and you think he is a clown or useless or whatever, you can only respect the fact that he's trying and the amount of money he spent. And I'm delighted it's coming off for him now. I was critical of him as well because he was poor. But yeah, you've got to hold your hands up and say he's our most improved player in the last few games, month or so maybe. Whether that's Porro coming in and it's a Friedel Lorry situation like Gareth says, who cares really, as long as he's performing well. And in answer to your question, he can totally carry on. He's got the confidence now. And the only issue for me is that Conte will come in, we'll play ultra defensive again, we'll be on the back foot, and then we'll be under pressure again. But yeah, he's definitely going forward. He's improved, and he's obviously improving now. So long may that continue.
Right, Jacob. Longevity. Let's be honest. Your life depends on it. Do you think Emerson can keep this going? I'll say it again. It's been weak opposition. West Ham at 18th. Chelsea can't score a goal. Man City. He always beat Man City. So there's 3 best games. Do you think there's longevity to this? And what's your opinion of Emerson overall?
I think he can keep it up because in hindsight, it can't get any worse. If he was to get worse than what he was before, then that's like that. It can't, man. And I think what it is, not just team. In life, you need challenges, don't you? You need setbacks, and if you thrive on them setbacks, then you push forward, don't you? I think that's what's happened with him because he couldn't get no worse. There was people booing him on the pitch. He was trying Rabonas and stuff, and people were laughing at him. He's probably going home really stressed. So, there's always, what's the saying now? It's like you can either be tough. Basically the people that are tough in life, the ones that come through. So the tough times don't last too long, do they? So I think he's just become that person. He just thought, well, it can't get any worse. Let me just dig in. And then imagine being what he was like when all the fans were giving him grief. We're all on here giving him grief. and then all of a sudden he has a couple of good games. You know, people putting their thumbs up saying, "Well done, Emerson." I think he's just had one of those games where he thought, "Oh, really? They're taking to me," and then he's just gone bam, 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 and quite quickly become a cult hero. So I'm all right with him. You know, I'm not going to sit there and say he's the best. He's going to be the best right back in the world, because he probably won't be. Because to be the best wing back, let's say, you have to have the complete package. You know, we've all lauded Trent Alexander-Arnold over the last 3 years, but because he can't defend, he's just any player now, isn't he? So you need to have a complete package.
He's been found out, hasn't he?
This is it. I feel sorry for that, because he was on top of the world. You know, that's what the media do. And fans.
I don't. He's a fucking scouser. Fuck him.
But I tell you what, look, hands up with Emerson. You paid the £1 million, you know, to train up and get better or what have you. Maybe get some more fitness into his legs, and that I applaud. But I still don't rate him at all. I really do not rate him. I don't believe this defender stuff, if I'm honest with you. For me, it's the slide challenges from behind after he's already been got past. You know, I'm old-fashioned. Defending's about positioning. I keep going back, Maldini. If I have to make a tackle, I've already made a mistake. And a lot of his challenges are from behind after the winger's taken him. So I don't think he's a good defender. He definitely can't cross. 2 assists in 60-odd games. But he's had a couple of good games. And I tell you what, I will double up on this central running. I think it's fantastic. I think he's found a niche. They don't know how to follow him, finding so much space in centre midfield where he's getting in the box as well. So he knows he's not good at crossing, so he stopped doing it. And he fights. He got so much flack. He continues to fight. But for me, the quality is not there, and it never will be. But look, hands up. He's done very well recently. As I said, assists in that many games is embarrassing, quite frankly.
Was the Emerson flying an intended pun, Tommy?
Sorry?
Was the Emerson flying an intended pun?
Yeah, absolutely. Right, we're going to get onto something. I did not think we'd be talking about 2 days ago. It seems like a lot of this has just come out in the blue 2 days ago. So we've got Skywalk's been rated #1 on TripAdvisor.
Yay.
I've got Stelios WhatsApping me. You can imagine. I've got Stelios WhatsApping me left, right, and centre about this stuff. Everything that pops up, but it's there. It's in the news for all to see. You've got the go-karts, racetrack, whatever, what have you. Hotels, housing, concerts already there. We've got like 10 acts confirmed or whatever. Cinema,
Butlins.
Of course. You know, his wage rise. Levy's well-documented late wage rise seems to have happened all in the last 7 days. I'll leave the wage rise for now. But Brad, what do you think on this non-footballing side of things? The entertainment, all this being released after we've picked up a couple of wins. Do you think it's all a little bit coincidental?
There's a few problems here, a few points. First of all, I've got no problems with making all these different things to get other revenue streams. No problems with that whatsoever at all. But I wish the club would be transparent and come out and say that the football club or the football team is the #1 priority, and all of these other things that are going on will be to make that the #1 priority and show the fans where the revenue is being used for the football team. Because at the moment they say that, they do it all the mantra, but the fans don't believe it. It's just making money for himself. So I've got no problem with making all these other.
But the wage rise completely goes against what you've kind of said there, in the sense that it's the #1 priority, and then he gives himself $500,000 wage rise.
He wouldn't have given himself the wage rise. It doesn't work that way.
No.
The wage rise would be.
Brad, this is the only cup you're going to see, and we will only see for a little while, I reckon. Sadly, they seem to think that's good enough.
You've got to park the wage rise to one side. Look, I'm against all these really rich people making, bonuses anyway. I'm against that totally. So let's park that to one side. That's another discussion that's not football related, in my opinion. But what I'm saying is that I wish they'd come out and be more transparent with the fans about this is where the money's going. This is the money we're making. This is where it's going. They had the 50-page thing, but they didn't have an index, so you couldn't actually find out where it was. You have to read the whole 50 pages. So I wish they'd be more upfront with doing that. As for Skywalk, I mean, I've never been on it, I never will, but yeah. And also the thing like the cinema and all of the build, the actual buildings that they're doing, that's part of the contract they had with the Mayor of London at the time to redevelop the area, so you can't get out of that. The other thing I've taken from all this is that I don't think, no matter whether you're Levy in or Levy out, I don't think he's going anywhere. I really don't, because he seems to be quite infused. And that's what annoys me. Going back to my first point is when he said, we want to be as diverse as possible with all these things that we're doing for the stadium. Why didn't he say, so we can make the football club the number one priority? He didn't say that. He was more in...
Because it's not the priority, that's why.
Yeah. Well, this is the thing, Jacob. This is the thing.
He's telling us the truth.
Yeah, people don't believe that. And they've got to come out and say, yes, it is the number one. And this is why. This is the proof that it is the number one priority. And unfortunately, when we have a transfer window where everyone's bought on loan and we say, we haven't got any money, everyone says, hang on a minute, we're making all this other money. And that's the problem. They won't come out and say, this is what our priority is. They do all the mantra, they all the press conferences. They don't actually say, this is how we're making all these other things into the football club and prioritising the football club. But they won't say that. And people, myself included, think, get really cynical about it. So what's going on? So yeah, there's a bit of a thing. And you've got to put a lot of that down to whoever's doing the publicity at Tottenham Hotspur Football Club. Because I'm sure he must have advisors. They say, yeah, Daniel, yeah, it's all very well go-karting, but a lot of the fans out there, they're going to be saying, what about the football team? He must have advisors.
Yeah, but he's just sitting there when they're explaining, he's just smoking his cigar going, what'd you say? What'd you say? And he ain't listening, man. He's too busy smoking on the Cuban, mate. He don't care.
Well, yeah, as I said today, in one of my WhatsApp chats, I said,
he's probably smoking a blunt, mate, while they're advising him, mate.
Just leave you. I see him in that conference room, fucking big Cuban on, a little pile of white stuff, Tony Montana in it. Fuck you.
I'm not saying that I believe that all this money is going into the football club. I'm not saying I believe that. But I think if they are trying to tell us that, they've got to prove it.
Right. Anybody else been on the I was going to say boardwalk?
I've done
it. Skywalk.
I did it.
I've done the hotel. I've done the stadium tour, but
I've done the Skywalk.
I think Gareth, you done the Skywalk? Is it?
I did it
with
my mate Chris. We went up as publicity. He was the first disabled user to go on the Skywalk, wheelchair user. So he asked me to go along with him as his PA for it. So I'm not going to lie, mate. It reaffirmed why I joined the Navy rather than the RAF, because as soon as I got to that bit that went round just the pop ball, but I don't care. I was strapped in. It's like, if you bend over and just look down there and then lean forward and scream, "Come on, you Spurs!" You can hear the acoustics. No, you're all right, mate. I'm staying here. Fuck off.
I'm taking he wasn't in the was he in the wheelchair? I've never done it, so I'm taking he was.
Yeah, they took him. They strapped him up and wheeled him in the wheelchair around.
Wow.
So it's now it's access. Do you know what It's a good tourist attraction, and I get it. You can see on a clear day, you can see all across London, But
you've been on it. You've been on the Skywalk, and what do you make of this stuff on the banner down there?
I haven't. No, I haven't. So with the whole thing, I think what people miss. Oh, my thing's frozen. Can you still hear me?
Yeah. Of course.
Sorry, what did you say?
So I don't know, my camera's just frozen. But what I was going to say,
unmute your mic. Unmute your mic.
Shut up! I can see it speaking on the screen.
That's a mean avatar. That's a mean avatar. By the way.
Thank you very much. So I have no issues with the input. The whole point of the stadium was to produce revenue. That's the whole point of it. When it comes to, it's all about the output. If we're going to go and do all this stuff, we need to start improving our quality of signings we do, and we need to start acting like a big football team. But everyone sits there about Levy's wage rise. He's doing the job he was there for. Why are people shocked? He's there to make money. So he's going to get a pay rise because he's making the club loads of money. He's getting deals left, right and centre. And it's something people miss that part. Our ambition is different to what the
It's been miniaturised.
Right, now we can't hear you. Now we can't hear you.
Miniaturised.
You sound like video killed the radio star.
You sound like a borrower, mate.
He's gone down a tunnel in Minecraft. Oh, we're back.
I'm back. Is it working?
Perchy's so popular, he's probably on 3 different streams at the same time. That's
Shush. Behave yourself.
Yeah, you're back now.
This is good. I like this. Levy cart coming out soon. PS5.
Yeah,
That's brilliant.
I got sent this today by my friend. He's a Fulham fan. And he goes, what the fuck is this? I expect this from Fulham, not Spurs. We're just a fucking laughing stock. That's on BBC.
Yeah, well, that's my point.
Just,
my
it's
point.
just-
Can't see that. Explain it. Explain it.
Well, it's like it's
Mario
Mario Kart,
Kart.
but Kane and Son
All right. I
as
see.
Luigi and Mario. But yeah, I'm not surprised by any of this, to be honest.
But are you surprised by the coincidence, the fact that we've won 2 games? Do you think it would have come out if we lost to West Ham and
I don't know.
Chelsea?
I
They
don't
probably
really
No
know.
chance.
don't because
I'm just
Levy
not
It was
surprised.
always gonna get
think
done.
it's positive.
I'm not surprised
Levy
by
thinks
any
it's
of it.
positive stuff.
No,
And
no,
also,
guys,
he's
no,
but he's
it's
got
a positive
to
thing.
release it. He's got to release it
Yeah.
because it shows that whether you look at whether he's doing it for ENIC or Tottenham, he's got to be shown that he is doing things to improve something. That they're doing things to raise their profile. So regardless whether it's for Tottenham's benefit or for his own, it's
No,
gonna
but
be
In
released
principle,
regardless of it.
I'm not bothered with them because it is making us money. But like Brad said, if it's not going to the club, the football team, which is what we are, we're a football club.
Hold on, have
Well,
you
we're not
had
now.
a check? Chris, have you had a check? Well, you say he's making us money, and I ain't seen fuck all.
I think it's making us a laughing stock as
he's
well.
making
I think it's making us a laughing stock to a certain
Yeah,
degree.
trust me. Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Disney World, like this is Disney World.
This
We're not
is
You know, the
spending
only thing
money.
missing,
spending
from
money.
Tottenham is Todd Bowley, right? Because everything we're doing is American. We just haven't got an American owner.
But this is my whole point, that you guys are right. We are a laughing stock because of all this. This is why they've got to come out and say where it fits in with the football side of it.
But
But
they
never
won't
have.
do it, will they?
Well,
'Cause
that's
no,
the thing. It's
exactly.
a laughing stock because we're not gaining anything from it, not filling the trophy cabinet. If we've got this on the side, fantastic. If
And what's going to happen now, if we don't
That's-
buy a load of decent players in the summer, everyone's going to kick off again. So, well, hang on a minute.
Do you know what's happening over the other? Do you know what's happening in America? The exact opposite to what's happening here. Rather than people going, "Oh yeah, some American one's coming for a Premier League football team," mate, we're looking at an NFL outfit. I'm sure. Do you know what I mean? Because there's no way the money's going. The way we're making ourselves look popular to different sports, especially the NFL. It wouldn't surprise me if we're looking at some stake at somewhere quietly in America to try and increase the portfolio.
But
Right,
it's like,
Perchy's done his cameo. He said it come on for a short.
Yeah,
period.
I literally have to shoot.
Sheffield United. One more thing, Perchy. Sheffield United. Are we going through? And any
Yeah.
changes you'd make?
Yes. I think you have to go and you have to change it up a little bit. You've got to keep
So I
your
think the main
players
ones
on the
people talking
bench.
about Perisic, Son, maybe Sarr comes in.
Yeah.
Do any of that?
I think your front three, you go with Charlison down the middle, Danjuma on the wing, with Son on the left. Yeah, play those 3, and then if it doesn't work, you've got Kane at half time. If it doesn't work out, but we should be beating Sheffield United. Look, Leicester be knocked out today, and listen, we have an opportunity to win this trophy. Let's be honest. There's just the 2 Manchester teams, bigger teams than us at the moment in there. We should be in this and get to the final. And that's what I'm going to leave. I'm going to leave it at that. Carry on with the stream. I made my quick cameo and I've got to run off though. Peace.
Off to your next
Take it
stream.
easy. Take it
Take
easy,
care.
brother.
See you later.
Nice to see you, mate.
Busy man. That's what happens when you've got 15,000 Twitter followers or what have you. Levy and board have committed publicly to putting funds from exact revenue into the first team. Expect Kane's salary to double and be named captain with a £150 million release fee. Very optimistic.
I don't think that will happen.
Very optimistic.
But I don't mind. I don't mind with them making money, but it has to go into Tottenham, which it isn't at the moment. Because, like Perchy said, he's there to make money for ENIC and himself, and that's what he's doing at the moment. That's what happens with that. Half a million
Mate,
pay rise.
ENIC are going to join F1 and ENIC are going to join the NFL. That's where.
But yeah,
Ronan O'Donnell. Sorry, Chris. One sec. I've seen you on a lot with the Liverpool avatar. What's happening there, man? What's happening there? Scouse Spurs fan, what's happening there? You're here and you're very well. You're invited, but I want to know what that's about, Roden. I see you on a lot of stuff. Chris, take it away.
Yeah, if it was going into the club, like Brad said, you know, I was told by, I can't remember who it was, but like the first NFL game we had, we made £1 million just on beer alone. Beyonce gigs, the Guns N' Roses gig, Lady Gaga, the boxing, all of that stuff. If it went into the, you know, and like Brad says, we've done all of these loans rather than signing. The next season in the summer window, we've got to pay for Kulu and Porro as well, rather than actually new signings. But I don't have a problem with them doing all this non-football stuff to make money, as long as it goes towards the football club. But like Brad said, there's no evidence from them to suggest that's happening, or that they really care about that happening.
Have you also seen as well, they've released the Kane and Son blow-up doll? Well, have you seen it? The little figurine, blow-up figurine things that they've got.
No.
Mate, there's a Levy one coming out, right? Because the way you blow it up is in the arse. So
I'll never know if you're being serious.
Blowing hot air up his arse.
And then get some darts to fucking pop him.
But
oh, mate,
I'll tell you what, Mario and Luigi up front, no. It's going to be Mario and Luigi at centre-back because it's 3 windows and we still haven't signed a fucking centre-back under Conte. And
no, Mario and Luigi are going to be our backup left wing-backs behind Destiny.
No, they're going to be part of Conte's squad. They're Italian. I mean, the coaching staff, aren't they?
People are saying if Conte goes, Stellini might take over.
This is the thing, though. You know, where I say that the PR at Tottenham is rubbish because you know you only have to look at social media and you know talk to people that you know that you know we're a laughing stock and that. So surely the PR team must know this and must say, well, actually, we've got to react against this. To you know, but they don't. They don't do anything
because they don't care. That's why you know if the Enid group were worried about embarrassment, they would have done something ages ago. But they're not bothered. Like I personally,
all they do is put it in hidden messages on Twitter, so no one like Levy has to see it. You know, look at Todd Klein's fucking Twitter account. Every time someone puts a Levy out, anything, he hides it. You know, you look at all the negative stuff. You know, I know the admin can't catch it all, but you look. I always go for the hidden replies. Some of them are absolute gold, but you know, they're hiding it. You know, it's almost like you know that kid that would go to a birthday party and his mum would be like, "Can you just make him feel like he's like, you know, is an extra bit of cake." You know, I think it's the same thing with Levy. No, apart from when people are actually screaming it at the stadium, you can't get away from it. But it wouldn't surprise me if he just don't give two shits. The guy's completely.
Yeah, the thing is though, what people struggle to do, I've done it on quite a few of my own videos, is that put yourself in Daniel Levy's shoe. Now, I'm saying to myself, if my boss is paying me £4.5 million a year and he says to me, but, you know, don't worry about anybody else, you can sort out your family with generational wealth. Mate, you could double the size of the stadium. If they're all saying, Jacob, get out, I will literally be sitting there with a fag in my mouth going, and what? That's me being me. I could support Tottenham with my heart and soul, and I want the grass to go well. But if Joe Lewis rang me tomorrow and said, right, I know you care about the grass, but I want you to take over from Daniel Levy, and you will be getting paid £4 million a year, all of a sudden I don't care about the grass, man. I'd be like, yeah, what's happening with the go-karts?
But you'd still have a fag in your mouth, wouldn't you?
Mate, I'd have him up my nostril at that money, mate. You know what I mean? I'll be like that, man. Why are you not saying Jacob out, man? I'll be smoking through my nose, mate. What? I don't care.
I'll be honest. I'm more likely to go on the go-karts than I am the skywalk. Doesn't interest me in the slightest.
Yeah.
But look, this is what he released. This is the statement he released. It's building a stadium. Our ambition has always been to see how far we can push the boundaries in delivering world-class experiences that will attract people from around the world year round. We've been able to bring names in sport and entertainment to London N17. We're extremely excited about what this long-term partnership with F1 will bring for our global, national and local communities. It doesn't sound like a club that's in debt because apparently we're not spending a great deal of money because with the stadium, we're in debt. As I said, if it balances itself out, we start spending money on first-team players, then I'm fine with it. And I think that's what most of the panel. It's not just the revenue we're bringing in. It's not just the revenue we're bringing in. It may very well be in debt from the stadium, but we know there's an insane future projection. The projection with the money that's coming in, match day income and a concert is huge.
Well,
so we know
also
that's where he's done well.
creates
We're
jobs
never
for
going
that
to
in
go
the area.
bust with Daniel Levy in charge.
Do you know how he could have shortened that statement? We want to increase our portfolio, and it's all about the money.
Do you know how you could increase it even shorter? Hi, Spurs fans, I don't give a fuck.
I'm smart.
That's all you have to do.
I'll announce a wage rise. No, I
Smoking, that's all you had to do. Just go like that.
Smoking a fag, mate. Yeah, you have you smoking a fag?
I find it unbelievable. I find it outrageous, to be honest. I find it outrageous. I guess him being as tight as possible is good for the business model. But it's the only thing he's cooking, and Paratici are cooking are the books, as far as
Mate, to be fair,
I think in a way they might be taking advantage. I think they might be taking advantage of a senile old man in Joe Lewis, because it's dodgy. It's dodgy as fuck. And as I said on Chris's show last night, the way he values his players, he'll probably want 7 billion for the club, not 3.5 billion. It's madness. It's madness. Some of
mate, Joe Lewis
out in the public domain. Some of the things he just puts out in the public domain. I think it's outrageous. I don't think we need to know this stuff. But there it is. And we're in the final hour of the stream now. We haven't got that long to go. Please make sure you subscribe if you haven't already done so, and hit a like. Really does make a difference. We're going to we took that graphic down. On to the next thing. We mentioned it a few times already. It's impossible not to be talking about it, especially when Conte isn't there and we carry on winning games. I suppose, Brad, with his gallbladder issues, family issues, and everything else, is time up for Conte this summer?
I've always said, as you know, Tommy, I've always said that if Conte leaves at the end of the summer or at the summer, it'll be for personal reasons. I don't think it'll be for football reasons. And we all know he's lost, 2 or 3 close friends this summer, or this season rather. And he's had the gallbladder injury, and he's got his family in Italy. His daughter's doing the last year at school, this sort of thing. He lives out of a hotel, all this sort of stuff. So I think if he does leave at the end of the season, I think it'll be for personal reasons, and maybe that's why they haven't done the contract thing. Maybe he's just told the club, look, let me have until the end of the season to think what I'm going to do.
I'll be honest. I think it's clever PR.
So do I.
I don't think that. I think the family thing. It's one of those reasons where if he does leave and the club and Conte and they both agree to say, I need to go back to Italy. It's where my family is. No one really is going to argue with the fact that he wanted to go back to his family, which means Levy kind of gets out of it a little bit unscathed. Whereas actually the reality is it's probably a case of, well, Levy, you're not backing me enough, and I'm not prepared to hang around in this situation.
Yeah, I think Conte would come out and say that though. I think Conte would come out and say that though.
I don't know. I think. At the end of the day, Tottenham's paying his wages, and as much as Conte is outspoken, I don't think that he's.
No, what I mean is, if he decided to leave because of for football reasons at the end of the season when his contract's up, when they're no longer paying his wages, I think he would come out and say something.
But you've also got to remember, Conte, prior to coming to Tottenham, started to have a reputation and was building a reputation as being a manager that would throw his toys out the pram and fuck off.
Well, that's the question I was going to put. That's the question I was going to look at next. That's the question I was going to put to Chris. When he signed the contract, do you think he had any intention of staying beyond 18 months? Because he does have, a lot of his Italian jobs early on were 1 year. Chelsea won the FA Cup, won the league. He was there for 2 years. Inter Milan again, 2 years. Doesn't really stay longer than 18 months at any club. So
I think if we were doing meeting all of his demands, he probably would have renewed, but. I was on this when he signed the contract and when he got appointed. You know what I think? I said at the time, within 18 months, Poch will be back. End of this season, end of the summer, Conte goes free, Poch in free, works for Levy, no compensation. Obviously, Conte going for whatever reasons, personal or not being backed or whatever. A lot of fans are going to be up in arms and really angry at Levy. So it will be another appeasement manager, I don't want Poch at the moment. It's too early for him. He's still there with the chairman that fucked him over at the start. He's going to fuck him over again, and he's not going to move out half the players that stitched him up in the first place. If you got a brand new owner who was guaranteed, like Todd Bowley, I guarantee to spend the money, but I'll spend the money on what you want and get out who you want. Give Poch a 10-year, 20-year contract. But I think for Levy, it's an appeasement thing, and it means no money changing hands from his pocket.
And it goes back to working for young players. And going back to what I was saying about Conte, about it being an early soundbite, is it's perfect PR for both of them, because then Conte does something to try and stem that I'm a diva manager. Who if I don't get,
and I said when he joined that Poch would be back within 18 months, and I won't have anything to cheer about if we lose our manager and get a manager when we shouldn't. So I'll be going on anywhere that will have me saying I bloody told you so, because I got laughed at.
Just to confirm, Chris doesn't want Pochettino back, and he doesn't want a playmaker.
No, don't want Pochettino back, but I'm desperate for a bloody playmaker. I've been for about 4 years.
Right.
To be fair, mate, you take that washing basket off and you'll get a playmaker.
Say Conte does go. I'm going to try and find someone in the chat that was right. So Richard Evans, De Zerbi or Thomas Frank would be decent. Still think Gerrard has a lot to offer in management. If Conte was to go, are there any managers at the top of the pile that you'd take? Maybe it is Pochettino.
I wouldn't wish anyone if that's what happens. I don't even know. Who did you ask a question to, me or Brad?
Jacob.
Oh, okay. I don't even know anymore. Like, do you know what I mean? It's just like
Jacob would do it for 4 million.
Yeah, 4 million and a box of cigarettes.
I think you've got to chuck. I think you've got to chuck the ex-Chelsea managers in there as well. You've got to chuck Tuchel in there. You've got to chuck Potter in there, because I'm pretty sure Potter will be unemployed in the summer. So
I don't know. The thing is, though, like, I don't want to go down the avenue of your Thomas Franks and all that stuff, because then it becomes we go from a Tottenham that you've got a little bit of hope because you have got a world-class manager to like, oh, we've just got to give him 5 years and hope that he does well. Do you know what I mean? It'd be the same energy as what we had when we brought Poch back in when we had Poch in the first place. Because when he come from Southampton, nobody in their right mind thought this was the guy that was going to take us to the Champions League final. We all thought that he was going to be a stable manager that would, maybe get us in the top 4, keep us in the top 6. He was just going to be another manager that stayed with us for 3 years until it messed up. So I don't know. I'd probably go as far as saying Poch, just because he already knows the situation, but he clearly begged the fact that he's still happy to come back. Do you know what I mean? He knows Daniel Levy. He knows the
way he works with youth as well. That's what's going to appeal to Levy, because it's less money he's going to have.
Yeah, there you go.
Alfie Devine will be the playmaker. We won't go out and buy a Maddison or anyone like that. Alfie Devine will be the answer, and he ain't the answer yet. He needs someone like a Maddison to kind of show him the ropes a little bit, in the same way that
I think he's overdone a little bit, saying that he just had young players, Pochettino. I mean, you had Kane, but Walker was coming through brilliantly. Rose was coming through brilliantly. Vertonghen and.
But he did. I think what he means, he did look at the youth, didn't he? He did look at the youth team. The Kane, Winks, Bentancur, they all came in. Whether 2 of those aren't good enough, but I think there was 3 or 4 maybe from the youth academy. I don't think there was that many, to be honest with you. I think you put Winks, Bentancur, Kane. Who else is there? Walker Peters was sold. I think there was 4 in 5 years. I don't think there was that many, to be honest.
Yeah, there weren't. What it was is that people get it confused. I don't think he did too well as in like getting them out of the youth system. It's just we had a young team. Do you know what I mean? Like, I think
that young's fair enough, but you had Dembele there, you had Ericsson. Dembele was outstanding as well. I'm not saying Pochettino was a bad manager, but I feel like if he comes in now, you're doomed. The fact that you got sacked by the same owner, I think that alone, you're doomed. You're absolutely doomed.
Well, he's proven that Levy can just run him over and do whatever and chuck him under a bus. So it
Kane will be gone.
Again.
Kane will be
gone. He might as well get if Pochettino comes back, he might as well get publicly pegged in the fucking centre circle on his first game back.
I think Levy fucked him. I think Levy fucked him over. I think Levy fucked him over. I think he's got too much baggage.
Tell me I'm wrong. Tell me Levy is going to come. He's going to go in dry, centre circle, first game back, just to prove how much of a bitch Pochettino is for him.
You're actually making me think about it. You actually got a good point, guys. Like, he will actually get spunked on the face, won't he? Like,
can I just ask Gareth?
He's going to turn around just for the money shot, and then Levy's going to run away like that meme.
And Poch will take it. Poch will take it because he's jobless.
Gareth, can I just ask? Do you think it will work or not? I'm not sure.
What? Whether? I think it'll be a sellout.
I'm actually. Do you know what? I'm actually with. De Zerbi's too early. I think you're going to need a project manager next because the team will be decimated. You've got obviously your captain Lloris is gone. Kane will be gone. Son's legs are going. I think you need a similar appointment to Pochettino in 2014. I love Pochettino, but he's just carrying too much baggage now.
There's one manager I would take.
Thomas Frank is fresh. He'll go back to playing 4 at the back, which we absolutely have to. We haven't got the centre backs to play 3 at the back. I do not want Tuchel because if you get Tuchel, you stay 3 at the back, you stay pragmatic. And I know Conte plays it to get into 4th, and I respect that. I think many managers wouldn't be able to do that. I want to see. I want to see some attacking football now. I want to see 4 at the back. I want to see a Cam. That's what I want to see now.
I wouldn't have a problem with Thomas Frank. I wouldn't have a problem with Thomas Frank. The only problem is that he's got an excellent chairman at Brentford, who really gives him everything he wants, and he ain't going to get that at Tottenham. So that's my only problem with Thomas Frank at Tottenham.
That's a problem, but he's not going to get Champions League with Brentford either. He's not going to get in Europe. And he's probably not going to get.
Do you think Thomas Frank could be another Potter situation potentially with Potter? Chelsea a step too far, and obviously Spurs, regardless of position, are in terms of reputation and everything, a step above Brentford.
That's what I worry about.
And same with De Zerbi as well.
At the same time, it's a risk, but at the same time, he won't get the money. There won't be pressure on him. Potter's got pressure because you've got £500 million worth of players. You know, you're not going to have that. You're going to have 50 max. You're going to have £50 million.
Poach the Brighton manager, the new Brighton manager.
Yeah.
Yeah, but again with De Zerbi, he's only what is it? He's had 6 months, hasn't he? Like I don't know. It's like I don't know who. The only reason why I say Poch is because in my head I can't think of any other candidates that Tottenham can go. We want you, and they'll jump. And I'd actually think, all right, Conte's gone, and we can continue something like Poch. Don't get twisted. He didn't win anything, but he's you know, in the time that he was here, he got us further than Conte did. So why not give him another chance? And then realistically, it doesn't really matter what coach. Conte's been pegged by Levy. So if Conte can get pegged, any of you are getting it.
Conte must be sorry, not Conte. Poch must be our longest serving manager, surely, in the ENIC, because he could have been here for 20 years, and Poch was here for 5.
Yeah, but Redknapp was 3, wasn't he?
Easily.
Yeah.
To be fair, Redknapp was there for 4 years, so he's not far behind, but it was only 4 years. So we went through a stage of actually keeping managers on for a while.
I just think it'll be Poch because, like I said, there's no compensation for a manager out and a manager in. And Thomas Frank, we'll end up having to pay a fortune to De Zerbi as well. De Zerbi, it's too early for him. He's had half a season done well. At least Thomas Frank has had about 2 seasons and then a championship getting up as well.
But the thing is, though, they could go down the same line of thinking. Pochettino, look, you know, we took him quite quickly, really, in some respects from Southampton, and look what he did. So that, in reality, proves nothing that he's only had 6 months at Brighton and done well. To be fair, you look at it, he plays a similar type of football to what Pochettino did, and that and let's be honest, the appeasement for a lot of these Spurs fans, because the one thing that I agree with Scotty M is about how the fan base is and how they get all twisted up and on one thing or another. The minute you bring back a manager who plays attractive, you know, fast-paced attacking football, it wouldn't surprise me if some fans would be happy to take 6 though.
You know what? I actually agree. I think he will be our next manager.
Who's this?
I do think Poch will be our next manager. I'm convinced of that.
Can I just say, Tommy, 18 months ago you laughed at me when I said that. I'm just saying that.
To be fair, 18 months on, I still laughed at you.
He's still the PSG manager. He's still the PSG manager. I promise you, I haven't muted you. I should have done. I haven't muted you. So nothing's coming out.
That's me under the excitement of the fact that
the magic was happening. The magic was happening.
18 months ago, people laughed at me. I've got nothing else to be cheerful about, so I will be saying I told you so's.
Yeah, but it's not good. This is going to be Kevin Keegan version 2 at best. This is not 2014. This is not Brendan Rodgers and Pellegrini, Man City and Liverpool.
At the very least, though, I will.
Arsenal and Newcastle were nowhere. Man United were nowhere. This is a very, very different league.
But at the very least, with Poch, I will be entertained again with a football, but it isn't enough.
But you won't be if you're 12th. You won't be entertained if you're 12.
I meant attacking football.
But this is the problem, and this is where there's no balance. You know, people go on about attacking football, but if Pochettino comes back and we're 6th, 7th, and 8th, you know, they're still not going to be happy. You know, but playing, you know, some okay football and a lot of defensive football and finishing top 4 and a decent FA Cup run, which at the moment is on the cards, I'm happy with the way it is at the moment.
Nobody goes in prison. Nobody goes in prison. It doesn't matter what you do.
Listen, if Mason Greenwood can avoid prison, then fucking Ivan Toney will.
Well, to be fair, have you seen the pics? The girl's pregnant.
What's Ivan Toney done?
She's guaranteed
A
a
load
alimony check
of
for the rest of
betting
her
stuff,
life.
Jacob. He bet on.
Oh, he'll get out.
I saw the betting. I thought it was something else on top of that or something. The way you are going on. You're gonna go prison. You're gonna go prison for betting.
But that's another thing. You could take David Raya. We need a goalkeeper. I think he's top goalkeeper. For
Someone was in the chat saying about the Turkish goalkeeper. I must have missed that. But
I think he's a youth player. David Clark mentioned it. He mentioned it last year. I haven't looked at it. I think he's a youth. He's a youth goalkeeper. Right, okay. So it's good.
Right.
It's good to
the Turkish lad.
Yeah.
Right.
What's the points coming? He cracks me.
Next one. We're almost on Muppet of the Week. As I said, we're not doing cock from the top this week.
He's below you, isn't he?
The only reason I come on this show is cock from the top on a fucking.
I know, but I would have done it, but Daigle and one other dropped out last minute.
How many do you need for cock from the top?
I didn't get prepared. You need 5. There's 5 categories. Come on now. You should know this by now. There's 5 categories. You don't need 5.
It's been that fucking long.
Who do we want?
Listen, I forgot what cock from the top's like. Just like fucking our boy fucking there in the middle has forgotten what cock in a hole's like.
Right. Almost at the Sheffield United game. It's going to be very interesting tomorrow night. For some reason, I thought it was on a week. Like last week, I thought it was on a weekend. But of course not. It's
I disagree with Perchy. I'd be playing. Period, I think. I'll be playing our best team against Sheffield United. It's our biggest game of the season so far.
Well, first, before we get to that, I do want to talk about this, briefly in terms of who we should be targeting. Brad, youth or experience? Youth or experience going into the summer?
Yeah, Brad, do you want somebody youthful or do you want somebody experienced?
Tell you what, I watch. There are a lot of youthful, experienced ones out there as well. So. I think it all depends on who's our managers, doesn't it? Really, I mean, if Conte's there, he's going to be wanting the experience. I think, if you get youth,
Brad, the answer's both because we touched on it earlier when we were talking about Pochettino. You know, you say it wasn't really that youthful because the team was young in general, but you had Dembele in the middle. He was experienced. You had Vertonghen and Alderweireld at the back. And then we need to get the balance of both.
That's basically what I was going to say. We need to balance it between youth and experience. And you never know what's available, do you, at the time? So, if you've got an experienced player that's good.
Is it fair to say it's sort of dependent on the manager as well, isn't it? It's sort of dependent on the manager, whether it's youth or experience. I did just want to mention the whole Casemiro thing and the Thiago Silva thing because that's why I talked about it. You can sign experienced players and it can make a hell of a difference. They really can. And £60 million is a lot for a 31-year-old Casemiro, 300 grand a week. But look what he's done. I mean, the title changes Man United, and I think he's a big part of it. I do. I think he's a very big part of it, and they were struggling last year. But we don't. We continue to not go for experienced players. We didn't go for Malinowski because he was £10 million. He was 29 because it's 12 million pounds at 29. We didn't want to sign him. It's just about investing for potential sell-on fees. It seems we do absolutely need that. I think that's the key word. What Gareth said: balance. That's the way we have to go this summer. And we need a centre back. What experienced or youth? Just get us a centre back for fuck's sake.
Yeah, isn't it?
It's madness. It's absolute. We know Longlay's not going to stay. It's fucking crazy. We still haven't signed a centre back.
But Brad will take an experienced youth though at centre back. It's fine.
He loves taking the youth at the back, doesn't he? Out the back of the shed.
He doesn't mind a youth out the back. That's it. or hanging out the back of a youth, one or the other.
I'm going to give a teaser to Muppet of the Week, but we're not going to go on to it.
Who's the guy in the middle?
Muppets of the Week. We're not going to go into it just yet. One more thing, of course, Sheffield United tomorrow. Huge game. Do you see? I'll start with Jacob this time. Do you see Conte / Stellini, whoever's there, going strong tomorrow? Do you see him going absolutely strong? Obviously, I asked this Perchy before he left. I think the biggest talking points would be if you're leaving out players or getting players in, it'd be Perisic maybe coming in, Porro coming in for Emerson, Sarr coming in, Sonny coming in. Can you see any of those changes happening, Jacob, and any you would make?
Yeah, I did a video about an hour ago, to be fair, on this. So I'll just, if we're going to make changes, because I don't know if there's any fitness issues or you're looking at the Wolves game and stuff, then maximum 2. So, if you're going to, let's say you bring in a Pedro Porro for Emerson Royal and you drop Richarlison for Son, just keep it as that, because if you're going to change it too much, like it's a Carling Cup game, you'll come unstuck. They've got a few concerns, haven't they, with illness and stuff. So I think that if they've got a couple of key players that ain't going to be playing, Sheffield United are another team that will be focusing on, their main focus is getting promoted, and they're pretty comfortable. So I think they'll go all guns blazing, just for the sheer fact that I think they're second in the league. I don't think they're going to be able to catch Burnley, but they're about 8-9 points clear of Middlesbrough. So they're not not going to be too concerned about their next game. They're going to probably want to see how far they can get in the FA Cup, because I think for them anyway, promotion's semi sorted. But then if we look at Tottenham, I think with us it's like, I'm not saying that we're cemented for top 4, but we're sitting pretty. The Newcastle got 2 games in hand, but they've got to go and win them.
Oh, famous last words, Jacob.
They've got to go and win them. So you might as well forget about them. Do you know what I mean? There's no point in thinking about top 4 now, because we've still got another, I don't know how many games it is left to do that. You've got 4 games to go and win an FA Cup. Just concentrate on that. Do you know what I mean? We've got Wolves next weekend. I think I'll be going to that as well. But just concentrate on Sheffield United. And if we have to bring Kane off at 60th minute, then do that if we're 2-0 up. But just don't start doing this madness of like starting Richarlison up front for his first game, because then I know we'll be bringing Harry Kane on at half time. But what's the point of that? You might as well just start him and then bring him up.
I'd be playing Richarlison. I wouldn't be changing a thing. Sheffield United are going to be bang up for this, so you need someone like a Richarlison to put himself about, I think, and cause problems. But a winning team is a confident team. I wouldn't be changing a thing. This is, in my opinion, anyway.
I said this on Hazzy's show. On Sunday. I said I think Spurs will go in. Spurs should go in with the same squad. Keep the run going, and keep the team playing together and keep it all ticking over, because I think it's doing well. So why change what's not broken? Because I think Sheffield United will give us a game. I think Sheffield United are going to go into this game with their first team, because rather than rest players because of what they're doing in the Championship. What a shot in the arm it'd be for the first team boys to take out a Premier League side to continue with the rest of their season.
Top 4 Premier League side as well.
Top 4, it doesn't matter. They're still taking out a Premier League side, right? A decent Premier League side, right? So either way, Sheffield United play full strength, then they can hold their heads held high if they lose. It's a shot in the arm for their promotion run. All right, because Burnley have had a couple of results not quite go their way recently. Is there going to be a wobble? If so, Sheffield United are going to want the confidence to build on that. But also, we need to maintain what we're doing with the squad that we've got. We need to keep Son on the bench and resting him up and getting him to come on for his super sub minutes. Richarlison, I think, needs to start, because against Sheffield United, he might have half a chance of bagging a goal, which is going to do his confidence a world of good. Keep Royal at the back. Play... And if you're going to change anybody out, substitute Son on for Richarlison, towards the end. Same as what they did at the weekend. Paro on for Kulusevski, and maybe bring in Sarr for Skip, depending on how things are looking for Wolves, or if anything's picked up.
Yeah. I think with Richarlison, you need that energy and fight. That Middlesbrough game last season was just completely flat. But I was really impressed with the Preston game. Not the fact that we beat Preston, because we should be, but the attitude looked like this is a banana skin. We're taking them seriously. Yeah, we should beat them, but we have to go out and beat them. So that's the first part. That's half the battle there. But I, like Gareth, I wouldn't be changing anything, because for me, this is our biggest game of the season so far. You win this, go through to the quarterfinal, get a home draw. The Manchesters get drawn against each other. That's one of them.
I was going to say, yeah, Manchester Derby would be the perfect draw.
So this is our biggest game of the season for me. So I wouldn't be changing anything unless injuries or whatever force it. And I would be putting Richarlison in for a bit of a fire, a bit of energy. Hope that transmits through the team.
To be fair, though, if you want to give Richarlison a bit of time up front, mate, then what you do is you start the squad you're starting with. And if we're doing all right, you take Kane off, move Richarlison into the middle, and then bring Son on.
But that's the thing. Go out and try and win the game early doors. Take the game to them. Don't do this. Take it easy. Feel each other out for 45 minutes. Go kill the game.
It's not like dating in the 90s, is it?
and then you can take Kane off after 60 minutes or rest. I would be taking this as seriously as like I
think Conte's shown that. I think Conte's shown that he will go strong. He went strong against Nottingham Forest in the Carabao Cup third round. We went out earlier on in the season, but he still went strong. I think we went strong against Middlesbrough last year when we went out as well. Law of averages dictates that was attitude. Fifth round.
Middlesbrough's attitude for me. We turned up there, I think, looking like we'd won the game. And
we turned up to them like we turned up at Leicester.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter who you're playing. You have to earn the right to win games. You don't just turn up and win games. You have to earn the right, and that first comes from attitude. And I think Middlesbrough, we thought we'd won the game. Leicester after the Man City game, probably the same as Burnley last season after beating City as well. Whereas Preston, completely the opposite. Yeah, they're lower in the table. But this is a game we've got to be on our game, and they didn't really cause us any problems at all. So if we turn up with that correct attitude, I don't think we'll have any problems. But I would be playing our top team. This
is where I have an issue with not making changes. It's not because if it was next weekend, I'd pick the same team. But we got Sheffield United Wednesday, then we got Wolves Saturday. We got 3 games in 6 days.
And then we got Milan on Wednesday as well.
Will Richarlison be fit like it was against Chelsea?
But you make the changes against Wolves for me. That's what I'd do anyway.
Yeah, I mean, everyone's got their point of view. It is a huge game. We're in the quarterfinal. If we win. Brad, would you go? The same 11?
Yeah, I would. Yeah, I would. Out of the game tomorrow, the Wolves game on Saturday, and the Milan game, I'd certainly class the Wolves game as the less important one. Strong team tomorrow. I think there'll be changes. I just don't hope I just hope there aren't many changes. I think there will be some tomorrow, but I just hope they don't. Especially in defence, I really hope they keep the same defence. I don't want to see Dyer, Sanchez, and Longlet or whatever. Because that's disaster waiting to happen. Although, to be fair, they played pretty well against Preston. But, I think that I'm with Chris. I think this is the most important game of the season.
I think certainly what serves us well is the fact that Sheffield United are up there fighting for promotion. So, that's a much bigger deal for them because they've got to be looking at it thinking, even if we get to the quarterfinals, we're probably not going to win.
But as Jacob says, they're pretty well clear of third.
Exactly. To be fair, there's no reason why we shouldn't be considering these guys as effectively a Premiership opponent. They weren't long in the Premiership. They've got 1 foot in the Premier League.
Yeah,
as it stands. So why not to hit them with the same seriousness that we would if we had United or City or Brighton?
And you flip it the other way as well. Sheffield United will be looking at this, thinking, well, if we're gonna get in the Premier League, get ready, boys, because this is what we're going to be up against. So there'll be certain players that are playing for Sheffield United now. They've got Premier League experience. I think McBurney's had a couple of seasons with Swans. I don't know if he came up with Sheffield United the first time. Kieran Clarkson, your people like that, but there'll be players that they've got now that have only ever played the Championship. So they'd be like, look, if you want to,
you never know, Jacob. There could be a couple of players going. I know Spencer's gone out to France, but look what he did, having a good couple of cup runs against Premier League opposition, in the cup.
There you go, yeah.
He got a move to Spurs. If we happen to just miss out on the playoffs, then I need to make sure that I can be seen to be holding my own against a top 4 side or a top Premier League side.
It's just hardly skip, isn't it?
That's why the attitude is so important. Their players are going to be bang up for it. Their fans will be bang up for it. It's not going to be a very nice atmosphere.
The attitude, we get it.
It's a given. I mean, every game the attitude should be there. I mean, every game the attitude. That's an absolute given.
But it's amazing how often it isn't, though, isn't it?
I suppose sometimes
Not
I
just
just
Tottenham,
sometimes I
that's
just
how
think it's a
giant
lack
can
of
it
quality. I think there's a lot of lack of quality in the defence as well. Not just attitude. I think there is a lack of quality in the team. That's what we
also, as well, one thing the Championship will give our defence that not many Premier League sides do is a battle. You know,
it serves us well, the fact that they're fighting for promotion. It's a 24-team league championship.
Yeah.
They're heavy fixtures. Games come thick and fast for them as well. So that certainly as well. And we have to be favourite. We have to be out-and-out favourites against Sheffield United. If I'm talking specifically about I would rest a few players, I'll definitely be bringing Son in, 100%. He was outstanding against Preston as well, Son. I'll be bringing against lesser opposition. Son really performs. So I'll bring him in. I'll keep Emerson. I'll definitely keep Emerson in there. I'll think about dropping Skip or Højbjerg maybe for Sarr. Because I think Skip and Sarr, you could even drop Højbjerg maybe because Skip and Sarr were fantastic against AC Milan. AC Milan at the San Siro, they were fantastic. I think away at Bramble Lane, I think they can definitely cope.
Do you know what though? But the battle though, Højbjerg will be the one we need against Sheffield United for doing that dirty work for those battles against those players who aren't going to hold back.
That's very true, but that's when he plays every on the weekend. It's going to be 3 games in 6 days because these players are going to be playing against Wolves. 100% the league will be the focus when it comes to you're not going to drop players for the league. You just know Conte's not going to do that.
Did you see the little thing they did last season? I think it was when they interviewed our foreign players and said, "How much do you know about English football?" And one of the questions was, "Where does Sheffield United play?" And Sanchez got it straight away. He said, Bramall Lane, straight away.
No, not Sanchez. Please.
It's all about attitude.
He's going to be starting now, isn't he? Good boy, sit down. You're in the lineup.
Adam the Oracle McFarlane, he's already told us 3 of them.
That's fine, though. It's all about attitude, though, Gareth, isn't it? All about attitude.
It's attitude, mate. That's it. As long as you've got the right attitude, we'll be fine.
We can't be starting players.
Can I just make a point here? I think we need to have the right attitude tomorrow.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, the right attitude is starting players.
If the mindset's not right, there's no point.
Yeah.
It's not even about the mindset, though. It's about not playing players that are surplus to requirements. Like if we've got Tanganga and
the ones with the poor attitude.
Yeah, there you go. Exactly that. Joey, what's the point of playing players that we know ain't going to be, that we don't want them? So why are we playing them? Just to give them a run out?
Yeah, if they haven't got the attitude, wrong attitude.
There you go.
Yeah, they got the wrong attitude, don't need them, mate. Yeah. Fuck them off.
All about attitude.
Right, okay.
You're making them sound like Spice Girls now.
We're here, baby. We're here. I usually do this on a Sunday. Makes sense, being the end of the week, Muppets of the week, but I'm not streaming on Sundays anymore, so I'll save it for this show. There's a few. There's a few we can chuck in there. Number 1, Stuart Atwell's red card / yellow card / no card. 2, that's Kimi Räikkönen, who's an absolute legend. And basically Formula 1 for actually, I don't know, affiliating themselves with Levy. Does that make them a Muppet? And of course Daniel Levy's circus this week. With the Formula 1, with the wage rise, all that shenanigans. Brad, who's your Muppet of the week? You can choose your own. You can choose your own if you don't want to choose those options.
Well, I mean, I could choose Richie Sunak, but no, definitely Stuart Atwell, definitely, because apart from the red card fiasco, he had an absolutely awful game.
Yeah.
For both teams, to be fair. And there was a moment, I don't know if you picked it up on the TV. There was a moment in the second half where he just ran off the pitch and down the tunnel.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
You know why he ran off?
Yeah,
he was checking to see if Tom Bowley had put the $5,000 into his bank account to change the game, but he hadn't. So he came out and went, "Bollocks! I ain't giving Chelsea fuck all."
We're all actually sort of saying he's going off. Oh no, maybe refereeing's not for me, and I'll give it up. I think he probably went to use the facilities there, which the fans let him know about as the match continued. But yeah, it's bizarre. We're all sitting there. The players came back to the coach and all having drinks and getting.
Yeah, he blew the whistle, didn't he? The ball went out for a throw-in, and he blew the whistle and then ran off.
The pitch. It's bizarre.
The worst part, he came back on putting on a new shirt. Were they short of
I
toilet
thought he was
paper?
doing Eric Dyer.
Maybe
I've got to be
he
honest, I
found
thought
some
he was taking
youthful
a shit.
experience
I
in
thought
there.
he was
I
going
don't
for a shit, but it wasn't the case.
Didn't take him long then if he had.
Right, Chris, who's your Muppet of the week? Or
Well,
choose
out
out
of them
these
three, it's got to be the referee. Just when you think VAR can't get any worse, and then 5 minutes it was, but he thought it would be an easy game to referee because he didn't have the correct attitude, I'm sure. But
you remember what, Chris? Do you remember what Mark said last night about Stuart Atwell? Remember what he said?
Yeah, he's a family of all Arsenal fans, wasn't it?
Yeah, his wife's an Arsenal fan or something along those lines.
But yeah, because I went to the game and then came back. I watched the cup final as well before I came back. All these Newcastle fans singing and everything like that and saying what an achievement it was to get to the final. It's just, I never knew so many Spurs fans had turned to being Newcastle fans. It's not the achievement in getting to the final.
It was a hell of a rush leaving the stadium and getting to Wembley on time.
I'll tell you what,
they haven't achieved anything getting to a final. We've got to 2 finals. We haven't won them, so we haven't achieved anything. You've got to have that attitude.
They took over Trafalgar Square on Sunday night, and when I walked to Ealing Broadway Station at about 10 in the morning on Sunday, I walked past about 30 of them, so they're everywhere.
Yeah, but like celebrating getting to a final, that's all fine before the game starts. After the game, you can't be celebrating anything. You've just lost the final. I thought that was. I mean, they'll get another day soon at Wembley or wherever. But yeah, from my experience, I've never been happy. I sat on the train after the Carling Cup final in a mood for an hour, and then met friends in the evening, still in the mood. Yeah, I don't think you can be ever happy about a game if you've lost the final. No, I'd say Stuart Atwell's still the Muppet because
right, it's 2-0, 2-0 for Stuart Atwell. I'm sort of shocked here, given what Levy's done this week. Jacob,
yeah, I'm up there as well. I've got to point out one person who pissed me off in that Chelsea Tottenham game. Mason Mount. He was walking around like he's a proper little bad man. He's really pissing me off. Did you see him? He just kept shouting and he was just telling people to fuck off. And I thought, right, come on, mate. Realistically, one-on-one, you get a slap, mate.
Let alone anything else.
This is what I'm saying, man. He was just pissing me off. So I actually like the play. He just come off the pitch like a little bitch, man. But
I think Brian Gill would batter him. I think Brian Gill would batter.
I wouldn't go that far, mate.
My fucking 8-year-old would batter Mason Mount for fuck's sake, and he don't like confrontation.
Yeah, it's got to be Stuart Atwell. He just not only for the fiasco. It's like he should have sent Ziyech off. He should have sent Thiago Silva. Like, forget Stuart Atwell. How the refs have watched that and just not even. It's not even gone to VAR. Yeah. But how's it not gone to VAR? He's like literally, and they're saying, I think Jimmy Floyd Hasselbank brought it up, and he said that, he's hit him in the chest. All right, so you're telling me that he's tried to hit his head, but because he's missed, don't worry about it. The intent's there. He tried to fucking elbow him in the head, and no one's even looked at it. But then, you sent it off Ziyech for giving him a slap round the face. What about the elbow then? The elbow's 2 reds then, isn't it? So, I don't know, man. It's not even the technology. Everyone keeps calling it VAR. Referees and officials are hiding behind the 3 letters because the technology is perfectly fine. It's just the dickheads that use it.
I never ever blame refereeing decisions. And I'm glad that they didn't get, afterwards, we won 2-0 without them being down to 10 men, which is fantastic. But that was a sending off. It was a sending off simply because you can't throw your hand. You cannot throw your hand against another footballer.
If Casemiro can be sent off for cupping somebody's face, he can be sent off for that.
I don't care if it accidentally flicks his face. There's no need to slap someone or punch someone off the when the ball's out of play. There's absolutely no need. I know Emerson come up to him and smacked him in behind. Emerson's a wily character. He knew what he was doing there. But look, he hit him almost in the face, and it hit him in the face. It looked like he punched him in one of the fucking angles.
But then the excuse was that he hit him. Oh, it hit his shoulder first. But what was the intent? though? He tried to smack him around the face, and his shoulder got in the way.
He's not trying to win a header, is he?
Exactly. Jacob, if I went to shoot you, but I missed you and clipped your ear, what's my intent? Oh, it's all right. I only clipped your ear, mate. Don't worry about it. I haven't tried to kill you. Or, I didn't kill you. Yeah, but you tried to. Oh, no. VAR.
You couldn't. You got a suspended sentence.
Who's your Muppet of the week? Gareth? Is it Full
Amanda
House?
Staveley.
Full House?
Amanda Staveley.
Amanda Staveley.
Yeah.
Why?
For her, I just for her overdoing and playing to the PR wagon, you know, coming out. We're gonna We're gonna win the Premier League. We're gonna win the Champions League. You're still a work in progress. Your fans are loyal. Your fans will stick behind you through thick and thin. But you know, roll with the punches. You know, don't do a Levy and start making big claims or bringing things out when you know you could be a good way off it. I just think she's fueling an unnecessary fire with the Newcastle fans, and I think that she needs to, you know, just take the baby steps that she should be taking. It's nice to say that one day we'll do it, one day, but coming out like it's top of the list for next season is, I think, yeah.
Who Gareth?
Newcastle chairman.
Oh, right.
Amanda Staveley,
chairwoman.
Yeah, I just think, you know, she's playing to the PR machine, and I think she just needs to take baby steps and don't overpromise. Don't overpromise things that might take a couple of years to fulfill. You know, she's got great fans there at Newcastle. Don't be a dick with them.
Yeah, I think Newcastle played relatively well, but they do need to. Yeah, they do need to.
Yeah, they're a long way off Champions League, winning the Champions League. They're a long way off winning the Premier League. Don't be shouting it about like it's your ambition for next season and that you're close. You're not.
You know, there's two sides. There's two sides. Nobody said they'll be in the Champions League this season, and they're going to be there or thereabouts.
Yeah,
I've got a funny feeling they'll drop off. I've got a funny feeling.
Yeah, they're not scoring goals. They still need some good. They still need a few good signings. I just think she got caught up in a moment, but you know, and has played to the crowd a little bit. But we know the intent's there. We know what they want to do, but yeah, I just felt like the way she came out with it and the way she.
Gareth, I thought you was going to have a go at the post match when they were giving out the medals. She seemed absolutely delighted, even though they lost.
Mate, I didn't want to say Amanda Staveley because she's a whore who throws herself at any Newcastle footballer and manager that comes past her. But yes, it's you know, the way she was on them, mate, it was like a limpet on the bottom of a fucking boat. You know what I mean? Oh my god. But no, it's just it's managed the fans. You know, we're disgruntled after 22 years of bullshit from that bull cunt. But she needs to manage it. There's, you know, take small steps. You know, don't worry. There'll be more final days to come in the history of Newcastle. Don't worry. Rather than making it out like it's going to be something that's going to happen tomorrow. And I just don't piss off such a fabulous fan base.
Stuart Atwell's an idiot. Absolute idiot. But as you say, Gareth, you know, that is 23 years you've had the bald cunt. So he is my Muppet of the week all day long. Wage rises, hotels, go-karts, all announced after 2 wins. Nah, not for me. He's taken his fan base for mugs for too long. Yeah. And this week's just absolutely incredible for me. The shit that's come out is crazy. Don't get me wrong. Amanda Staveley and Atwell are idiots. Staveley's a good shout, actually. So, yeah, we'll wrap things up there. Back next week, and we're going to do
was that a compliment?
I've got compliment top questions ready. I've got them ready to go. Well, I thought we'd go with Muppet of the Week because there's quite a few Muppets going around this week. So, thanks for watching, everyone. Please subscribe and give a thumbs up. I should say if you haven't already done so. And of course,
sorry. I've just realised I made a real faux pas.
I'm doing a lot of short vids at the minute. Go on, Gareth.
Yeah, sorry. If we're going to stick with the Sam Smith thing, it's Ademda. Sorry, not Amanda. Ademda Staveley. Ademda Staveley.
I love them.
I blissfully have no idea who you're talking about. Apart from that, I know the chair.
That big fucking guy that dressed up like a leather sofa to go.
Oh right, yeah.
One who looked like a rack of ham wearing fucking a roast joint ready for the oven. Yeah.
Okay, Gareth. Tell me what to, as we chatting. Emotion pod. Anything happening?
I'm going to give Mark. I'm going to touch base with Mark this week. I've got a couple of games I'm not going to be going to, so hopefully we'll get the band back together.
He's lost his virginity for a while. I think that was his first appearance in a while, Chris.
Well, to be fair, mate, I think he's been tapping some rather fine arse, and that's why he hasn't been bothered. So what do you want to do?
He's lost his 2023 virginity.
Do you want to spend your time talking about Tottenham Hotspur with me, or do you want to be pumping some bird who used to be on a TV show with S Club 7? Yeah, S Club 7 Juniors. I know what I'd rather be doing. Doing the pod remarks.
Don't worry, he mugged you off last night as well.
I'm sure he did, mate. All love. But hopefully there'll be a bit of that, and then I'll be whoring myself to whoever wants me.
Jacob, as you said just before we went live, you released a video. As I said, I'm doing a few short vids here and there as well. I've noticed you're doing a lot more on your channel. So tell us about it and what you got coming up, my friend.
Yeah, so I'm just trying to keep it consistent, because what I tend to do is I'll have a little spell of about 3 videos, then I'll go missing for a bit and do what Gareth does and just haul myself out. So I'll literally do everything Tottenham. I'm going to start doing some end of week review sort of thing on the whole Premiership and doing a few videos, and I was trying to get myself out there. So I'm just going to do a video again probably tomorrow before, middle and after on the Sheffield United game. I'll do the same for Wolves. The likelihood is I'm probably going to the Wolves game. It's only 10 minutes up the road. So I'll probably go to that and get a few videos of that. So just keep watching out. If you haven't done so yet, just like, share, subscribe, comment, do all that. And at some point I'll get you boys on my channel when I get a bit more time.
I just want to say, if you do a weekly show, I've copyrighted Muppet of the Week. So you can, I don't know, Plank of the Week. I think Plank of the Week, you could probably, you get away with that. You get away with Plank of the Week. Chris, what you got coming up, my man? You got 2 YouTube channels, and of course, I was on your brilliant Spurs channel last night. So tell us.
So let's talk Tottenham. So that's Monday 7:30 p.m. and Fridays 12:30 p.m. So generally a preview on Fridays, review of the game on Mondays. Obviously, it'll be slightly different this week because of the Sheffield United game tomorrow. And Chris's magic, just a little magic trick from me every Wednesday 7:30 p.m. UK time as well. Isn't going to be one this week because I haven't had time to do one, but
mate, make your bed. That's a magic trick.
Yeah, well, there's been other magic, like you said, going on, isn't there, Gareth? So I haven't had time. But let's talk Tottenham. Come over, give us a like and a subscribe. Join us on Fridays and Mondays. But before you do that, make sure you hit the like, subscribe on Hotspur Hood and everyone else's channels as well. And cheers for having me on again.
All gravy, man. All gravy. Brad, I've got a funny feeling your sub channel, because you're a bit of a whore around the Spurs community. You might not be doing too much today, but you've released so much stuff with your cough.
Yeah.
But you've released so much stuff. And
I'm always on your channel. I'm always on Chris's channel. Blue Sofa Songs on YouTube, as it is on the screen there. Just me basically writing songs. So all the lyrics are mine, all the music's mine, all the guitars are mine, all the bass is mine. All of the drum loops are mine. It's all mine, basically. My first video was done with a phone camera and a guitar, and now I've got sort of virtual studio and that sort of thing. So I'm trying to improve as I go along. Have a look.
Any news on the competition?
No, I won't know that for a while. So I think the actual entries end on the end of March, so there's another month, and there's probably going to be about thousands of entries in it. So that's being judged in April and May. So I'll probably know by the end of the season. So I might have a triple celebration, FA Cup and a music contract. So that'll be actually brilliant. But you can check out my entry on the channel. It's called Even Butterflies Acoustic, because there is another version of it on there. And the latest song out there at the moment is called Primal Rock. It's a bit of fun because most of my songs are quite serious and sort of heavy and personal, but this one's a bit of fun called Primal Rock. It went on last Friday. I put a song on every 2 Fridays. So just have a look, see if you like it, click a like, put a comment in, subscribe, do all the good stuff. Hopefully you'll like it. I mean, some songs work, some don't. I'm trying to improve. Try every time I write a new song. So, and also subscribe to these guys' channels and click their likes and everything as well, because we're all a community, and it's really brilliant.
And for once, everybody's got their Twitter handle here. So these are the Twitter handles. Head over there and you can see what everyone's up to. Follow them on Twitter as well. And, of course, subscribe to the channel. Because subscribe
you want to see my latest celebrity photos?
Subscribing is absolutely free. Yeah. Daniel Levy. That's why you've definitely turned a little bit more Levy in since you had those pictures, Gareth. You've definitely turned slightly more Levy in. But that's a debate for another
To be
show.
fair, mate, that's what probably pushed me more Levy out.
So yeah. I'm happy. 25 likes is always the milestone. So thanks ever so much for joining. I think we're on 32 now. So if you get us up to 35, it'd be amazing. Absolutely amazing. Big up everyone. Stay safe, stay free, and stay classy, Lily Whites. This time next week, we could be in the quarterfinal of the FA Cup, and well and truly fourth, flying in fourth position. So
only if it's the correct attitude.
Cop from the top. We'll be back, baby. Come on, you Spurs.
Yeah, on a show I'm fucking not. Yeah.